our godmother was Betty Shabazz, who was the widow of Malcolm X. And so she was very intricately involved in our education journey. And that is community. That's community. That's someone saying, I see the strength in your children. Let me reach out and give a helping hand to help elevate them.
Hey, it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 4 of Mompreneurs, where we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are also amazing moms. Now, every week I'm chatting with my guests about how they are killing it simultaneously as a business mogul and as a mom. We're listening to their inspiring journeys and incredible advice. Today on the show, we are joined by Dominique Sharpton. She is a Tony Award-winning producer, a trained actress, a powerhouse National Action Network activist, and a proud mama. She's forging her own path in culture and justice, from Broadway to the voting booth, from motherhood to media. She is a force, and she is super busy, and I'm so glad Dominique could have a time to join us here today. Welcome, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, I'm so excited. You do this all day long, every day, all day. You are up and down the streets, on the airwaves. I appreciate you taking time because you're a busy mama.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here to join you and all of you, everyone who's watching and listening. Thank you so much for having me.
Yay! Okay, well, before we get too far into the business side of things, we always have to start with who puts the mom in your mompreneur.
Oh, my son, the one and only, 6.5 years old. I can't leave out the half. His name, Marcus Al Sharpton Bright II. Yes, I have a little boy, and he is the light of my life.
I'm so happy for you. Being a boy mom is the best. They love you like no other.
They're so clingy, but like, I love it. He's developing his little personality and telling me what he wants to do, what he's not going to do, all these personalities coming out at this stage. So I'm loving all the things that's going on with being a mom, but I feel like, I don't know. I'm like, he's asking for a brother and sister. I'm just like, brother, one thing at a time. Let's get through second grade.
Let's get through the half at 6.5. I always say, especially as busy as you are, I always tell people 1 is an accessory,
exactly.
2 is a lifestyle, 3 is a takeover.
Oh my goodness.
Okay?
I can't
so right
even
now,
imagine.
Little Marcus Al, he can just hitch a ride with you wherever you're going.
Mm-hmm. And my grandmother, she was one of 9 children and had 7 children of her own. So it's like, I have a big family. I come from a big family. And so it's like, you just got one? That's your one? I'm sorry, going to events, my family events, they're like, you just got that one? Yes.
Well, he's got personality enough for a bunch. And see, the thing is, you have a lot going on. You are a full-time mom, which is a job. Absolutely. But also, for listeners and watchers who might not know the full scope of Dominique Sharpton, you have a lot of things going on. How do you define all of the things that you do for work and business? What are the elements of your mompreneurship?
Well, I start every day, first of all, with prayer. I am a very spiritual person. And so I feel like, we can't even confront the challenges of the day without being spiritually grounded. And so I'm very, very into that, into my spiritual healing, my spiritual journey, making sure that anything I do, I start with God and I end with God. So that's first and foremost. So I think that's probably what equips me, strengthens me, enables me, equips me to just continue doing whatever it is that I have to get through in the day. And believe me, every day is a roller coaster, because when you're mixing activism and you're trying to build a business and you're trying to, do things that elevate the culture in many aspects, there's a lot of work involved in that. And, especially in also being a mom, we understand, the phrase, the terminology workhorse very well. Because I feel like we're always working, right? We're always doing, we're always moving.
Pulling the cart. Everybody's doing nothing but cha.
Yeah. And so, doing that and being an activist and being born into this activism family, so this legacy family. So you got the legacy thing going on where it's like, okay, you're Reverend Al Sharpton's daughter. You got this whole itinerary just in and of itself. That's a whole life scope. And then it's like trying to carve my own lane, right? Through all of that. It's like, okay, but I'm Dominique, and how is Dominique going to persevere? And then also having to label myself and characterize myself as a mother on top of that. So I don't know how I do it, but I think that God has a lot to do with that. And I also want to lead with love. So everything, every interaction, even today, every time that, I'm presented with opportunities to do something, I know that it's bigger than me. I know that when I step in to my role in whatever capacity that is, I know that I'm doing something, I'm being something that is impactful beyond my physical capacity of me, just being me. My father always preaches, this sermon. He's like, you're born with, the birth, your birthday when you come to the earth, and when you die, you have your death date. And then there's when if you have a tombstone, there's that dash in the middle, right? And um your purpose in life is to work that dash. So every day I get up, I'm working my dash. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that if anyone has anything to say about me when I go, I want them to say that I lived my dash and I led it with love.
I love that. You are living your dash. That's the whole phrase, and I think that's
Hmm.
really important. And I think what's really great is it often in a family that has such esteem and presence, it's very hard to carve your own niche because your dad, as everyone knows, Al Sharpton, is a character.
And a loudmouth, right? So they had a whole documentary called Loudmouth about him. So it is hard to, you feel like sometimes the oxygen in the room is just suppressed because he's just such a larger than life, person. But in all actuality, it does, I'm the first of two daughters. So, I pride myself as, being a woman, and really having to step in spaces where, women are often not in, right? We have just started to become where we are able to really break barriers and really push ourselves to that table, right? And then what they say, if you can't, Shirley Chisholm, somebody said, well, you can't, if you don't have a seat at the table, we're going to bring our folding chair. So
Bring
that's
your
what I've
own
had to
little
do
folding
since birth,
chair.
right?
Well, no, and I think that's what's really great, right? Because you were just like, okay, I have my own dreams. There are lots of ways we can nuance this, right? And you are an activist in so many different ways. But first and foremost, in entertainment, everyone knows that a triple threat is someone who can sing, dance, and
Yeah.
act. And that's you. You're over here
I can't
singing,
dance.
dancing,
I like
acting.
if you can
Okay.
find a clip of me doing it right, then that's great.
You
But
can
I
do
have
electric
not been.
slide at a wedding. That's what you can
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
okay, so then your triple threat then is singing, acting, and activism.
yeah.
And you have done an incredible job of finding a way to really meld all of this. Why has it been important for you over all these years? Because you went off and you went to Hollywood. And then you came back and you're bringing Hollywood and your love for theater, your love for artistry to your activism. Why was it important to keep all of your flames alive as part of who you are?
It's all about, like I said, defining yourself. And I feel like we've all been created to, to really execute and define a specific purpose in life. And so I just feel like my purpose, through my lived experiences, through understanding and working with people of all walks of life, I feel like it's my purpose to not only be that synergy, to bring different facets of people together, to create the community that is needed, right? To restore our rights, to continue to move the mantle forward. And if we're talking about issues like if it's healthcare or education or criminal justice reform, whatever the issue is that you may feel speaks closely to you, I also want to be able to elevate those in those spaces, a real action plan, a real agenda as to how these different facets can come together. It's also important to have allies. And I think that as we continue to move forward, as we continue to break barriers, whether it's in business, whether it's in activism, whether it's whatever it is that you decide you want to do, I feel like it is important to keep reaching for people that can help you along on your journey, and so you need allies. You need to bring community together. And just being involved since a little girl in the community and understanding the strength of community, understanding how important it was for for us to come together in many different aspects. I just want to continue that. So I think it's really important. And I want my son to know that. I mean, they're literally starting to take history out of schools. And I grew up I went to what they would consider a Montessori school at the time, but I went to an African-centered Montessori school, and my parents were very, very involved in making sure that my sister and I knew about our history. Our godmother was Betty Shabazz, who was the widow of Malcolm X. And so she was very intricately involved in our education journey. And that is community. That's community. That's someone saying, I see the strength in your children. Let me reach out and give a helping hand to help elevate them and to help them to now understand who they are. They can go out in the world, and then, that keeps transferring and transcending. And so that's what I want to do.
That's really incredible. It's amazing to think that you are so close. You've been so close to so many political leaders, so many important individuals in our history, in our life, in our movements. For your son, for little Marcus Al, 6.5-year-old, who are his Betty Shabazzes? Who are the members in your community that he looks up to as individuals of character who are making change that he can learn from and grow, aside from obviously his mama and his grandpa?
Well, it's very important. And, I have my sister, he calls her TT, and my grandmother, who's grandmama. And so it's very important to have that community, my dad, who's Papa Al to him, but also to bring him to the organization, to the House of Justice, where, we are there every Saturday for the Saturday Action Rally, or Monday nights for the Youth Huddle, where community resides, where community builds, where we are actually activating plans to make sure that we are strategizing and mobilizing around the issues that matter to us, so that when he gets older, or when he gets, to develop that conscious mind, he can look back and say, wow, my parents did X, Y, Z. My grandfather was involved to make sure that I had more opportunities and better resources, so that I can also now go out and be a light to others. So it's really about making sure that, that we have, and the institutions that have carried us through generations. The church has been a staple in our community for so many generations. So I make it my business to give him these experiences with community, right? By bringing him to these institutions to make him not only aware, but to be cultivated by them.
And also with the arts, he's right there with you, living your best life. You just won a Tony Award for Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
And we talk about breaking barriers. How did it feel in that moment? Here you are going after this very lofty goal. How did it hear to win just such a huge award on Broadway's biggest stage?
Yeah, so Broadway has always been intricate for me. It's always been a passion for me. I was a trained actress, so I went to school.
You are a trained actress?
No, I'm gonna say was, so that because it puts it in context of where I'm going here. So I did the whole conservatory training. I went to AMDA, and I was really, really thinking that Broadway would be my track, right? And then you hit the real world, and it's like, okay, not only can I do this and that, and I can sing and dance and act and all that, but I also have the capacity to bring community into this. And I also have the capacity to be able to look behind things and say, well, I don't see too many people that look like me in this arena, or that are behind the scenes, that are actually making sure that these projects get greenlit, so that we can have the amazing experience in theater through Broadway that we have. And so I just saw a different element for me to be able to get involved. And I'm always looking for ways to be involved, right? And so I got this opportunity through Alicia Keys and my best friend and producing partner, Haley Swindle, to join the producing team of Hell's Kitchen. And Hell's Kitchen on Broadway has done tremendously well, and we're still open and still going very strong. Just opened our national tour in Cleveland. And then the opportunities kept going, right? So it was like, after you come out with this burst, it's like, oh, okay, well, everyone's coming to you. I have this project. Can you help me fund this project? Can you get on this project? And so I started to really think about, well, what stories resonate with me? What stories, what shows would impact community the way that I'm passionate about? And so when Sunset Boulevard came along, and Nicole Schwartzinger was the amazing choice to have involved in this project, I was like, I can't turn it down, and I've got to be involved. And so I jumped on the opportunity, and lo and behold, it helped, to win me a Tony Award. And so now I'm here, right? And so I'm here like now thinking about, well, what's next? And it's really about like making sure like little girls and little boys even who, who love theater, who love Broadway, who are aspiring to be involved, can also see different elements that they can get involved in and they can shine in. And I want to be that example to them.
It's so important, and it's really impressive because Broadway's always been where art and activism meet, right? And
Yes.
your producing is not separate from your larger mission of justice and culture. You are making you're basically bringing the proverbial folding chairs to Broadway.
That's a great way to put it. But yeah, that's I never heard it said like that. So thank you. That's true.
And again, you have a full-time job. You are a full-time mom. This is a passion. You have so many other things. A lot of moms listening are trying to balance their creative dreams with caregiving. It's really hard. Like, I just had to go. I laughed because we were supposed to meet earlier, and then
Right.
when you pushed it, I had to go get my girl. I had to go get her
Right.
from school. Now
Yeah.
she's at home. She's waiting for me because then after this we have to go do something. It's really hard. What do you do? What is your routine that physically helps you keep your creative fire alive with motherhood?
You have to
To be
stay
able to
true
do
to
all
who
this.
you are. So I think that at the end of the day, we are always defining ourselves, right? And you got to stay
The
true to who you
dash.
are. The dash, right? You got to stay true to who you are. So every day, if it's, making sure that I'm eating right, making sure that I get that workout in early in the morning, after my son goes to school, that little 30-minute period that I have between 7:30 and 8, I got to do something for me. So I'm always looking for pockets to take care of myself, because if I can't be my best self for myself, then I can't be my best self for my son and for community and for Broadway and for Nan and for everything else that I have to do. So I'm always, again, making sure that I'm spiritually connected, because anything can happen. I mean, we wake up today, tomorrow, and things are just like popping out the seams, right? Everything is going on in the world. And so we have to really confront everything that's going on with our full selves, right? We can't like hide from ourselves and be like, oh, I'm going to put on this invisible cloak and go outside. We got to show up. And so in order to show up, you've got to know who you are. And so defining myself has always been something that's very important for me. Being true to who I am, saying no when I need to say no. So there are a lot of things that, unfortunately, right, you have to put off, right? Because you just don't have the time. And at the end of the day, it's like, what is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you want to put out there? What is it that you feel, right, is the one thing that you want to be remembered by? Focus on that. You don't have to do everything in one day. Focus on what is going to help you to take that next step and to be fulfilled in your purpose in life. And your children, right? That just becomes like part of the routine, right? Like brushing your teeth. It's like, oh, I got to pick up my child from school. I got to make sure my child gets dinner. I have to read with my child. So also just incorporating your me time in with what you do with your children, to have those fulfilling those fulfilling instances where you feel like, all right, I'm doing what I need to do for my children, but I'm also showing up for myself, because we can't lose ourselves in all that we're doing in the work and in being moms. We can't lose ourselves. And I feel like I speak to a lot of mothers and a lot of women in general who just like, we're tired. We're taking on a lot every single day, and it's like, okay, what is it that you want to do what is it, how can you work your dash, and how can we get that done? You got to take it piece by piece. Don't try to take everything on at one time. And you got to learn how to say no sometimes to things that like it's just not fitting into your purpose.
Saying no is absolutely important, but one thing I think that you can agree with is sometimes saying yes to the right things, even if it's more work, can give you more energy.
If you're working in your purpose. So that's, again, going back to that. If I'm working in my purpose, there's an event that's coming up, there's an interview for a podcast that's coming up, I know I want to do that. I want to show up and I want to be available for that. So you just do it. And then you realize at the end of the day, because sometimes we psych our minds out to saying we can't do it, and you can do it. You know what I mean? So if you're confronting your issue, if you're confronting your day and your challenges with the I can't, then you won't. But if you confront it with the I can, let's figure out how, then you'll be more open to making sure that these things get done. They just naturally happen. And sometimes you do have to put that extra work in. You have to stay up that extra hour. You have to read that book. You know what I mean? You have to do the work. But as you work through your purpose, that becomes a part of who you are and not something that you just have to get done.
I love that. And, with this recent award behind your belt, a lot of doors are going to open up. You're going to have to say no to a lot of things, but then you also get to say yeses. And I also bet you get to make some choices, right? Like, out of curiosity, now that you have Broadway open up to you, is there any dream you have of bringing your family story, your dad's story to the
Lord,
stage?
that's already like it's happening. It's just, how does it happen? But yes, absolutely. I feel like there are stories like we often look at, and I don't know how intricately involved people are in the movement. The civil rights movement, for one, the movements where we have overcome obstacles and challenges to really push for, if it's policy or if it's a new direction, or rights, especially as women, we fought so many things to get our rights, right? And at the end of the day, these things matter and they're important, but we also live our stories. Our stories are important. Our stories are our testimonies. Our stories are the inspiration that helps others, to move forward. And so I think that telling our stories are important. Journaling is important. So make sure you're journaling and writing your story, because who's better to tell your story but you? And so I feel that we all have a story. We all have a play or a show or a movie or documentary or something in us. We all have it. And and it's up to us to really chart those things down, document those things, and make sure that, that we are building the pieces of our family and our community in order to restore greatness, right, in our world, through our people and our culture is really important. And so, yeah, I've been journaling from a toddler. As long as I could write, I've been journaling, writing things down, and speaking about my lived experiences. Because when you put things out, into the world, you speak life into existence, things happen, right?
And so you get to kind of shape the narrative, right?
That's right.
Because people have their, there's this side, and the truth, right?
And so I know a lot about that.
A lot. So, girl, because it's really hard to be public in these streets. What's something that people who don't know what's in the things that you journal about, who don't know much about your family privately, that they'll be really surprised once they get to know you?
That I'm really an introvert, that I'm really shy. I'm really shy, and I don't mind being in the background, being quiet. And that's one thing about me. So I'm always having to rev myself up to be out front, to be seen. And I guess I have this natural persona where people just feel like, oh, she want to be out in front, or she wants to be the leader. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't.
You're the reluctant hero.
But I also understand, right, with responsibility, you know what I mean? That I have, especially with
legacy. The eldest daughter. I mean,
I have responsibility to show up.
Do you feel have you been seeing the TikToks about eldest daughter syndrome?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Do you relate to this?
I relate. In many ways, but I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I don't know. For me, it's important to show up, and I feel like the more we start to show up in spaces, even that we may feel uncomfortable in, like go for that job interview, sis. Like take that walk that you may feel like you can't get to the end of the road. You know what I mean? Like go for it. Go for it. Make sure that we're challenging ourselves, and that's one thing I like to do. I like to challenge myself all the time. I have a life coach who makes me I don't like to run. So I don't know if that surprises you, then okay. But I don't like to run at all. And so my life coach is always, so every year he makes me run a marathon, like literally run a marathon. And it is something that, I really have to build myself up for. I am freaking out. I'm hyperventilating. I have all this anxiety through the training process, right? And then you get to the race and it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I did that. And it's important to keep challenging yourself, through things. Now, some things you ain't gonna always do right off the bat. Some things you ain't gonna always get right. But it's important to show up to the challenge. And I feel like that is one thing that I journal a lot about is the challenges, like showing up to the challenges.
I love this, and what I love about this is the fact that you have a life coach. I want to hear more about this.
Oh, Lord.
How long have you had this life coach? Because I think one thing that we moms need to start doing is getting people on our team that are there just for us. And that's what a therapist, a life coach, that is your time. You get to be the child. You get to be the person being taken care of and given advice to, which is the very opposite of what your normal experience is.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like, especially women, like we've got to be more upfront and accepting, I feel, with the whole therapy notion. Therapy is great, okay? Therapy is wonderful, okay?
I did the therapy guide for the New York Times, and therapy is the best thing you can do for yourself. It's better than getting your nails done.
Yes, and I'm actually trying to work on, making sure that there's more policy in place for services for therapy, okay? Because I feel like that is mental health. The mental health component of our people, of our culture is really, really serious. And I feel like, we can't really confront a lot of these challenges that we're facing. I mean, we lived through COVID, sis. I mean, we have lived through some stuff and we have to get it out. We've got to work on it. We've got to heal. We've got to get it out. And so I had a major life change, I would say, a few years ago, right after COVID. I don't really want to talk about that because I don't like to bring it into my space as much.
It's the past.
It's in the past. But I sought a therapist at first, and my therapist was telling me like, oh, okay, you got some deeper stuff going on. Maybe you should maybe you should consult a life coach because you can actually compartmentalize things and work through them with your coach.
You know what though? That's actually real because at this stage with young child, I literally told I have a friend in her 50s. She was like, girl, let me tell you about this like deep work I've been doing.
Girl.
You should really get out. I was like, let me get my children to college.
And sometimes you don't realize that you're harboring all these things. Like I didn't realize I was harboring so much, until I started working with the therapist and then I eventually started working with a life coach. Now I have both.
Yes, and they have two different roles.
Yes, and it's literally just talking to each one about different aspects of my life. So my life coach will deal with, my wealth plan and the fact that, I'm still trying to accomplish goals financially, spiritually, health wise. So he compartmentalizes things for me and he challenges me with it. He gives me homework and tells me, all right, in 30 days you work to this. And so I love the timeline. I love the structure of, putting my life together in retrospect, even though, as God will have it, things are going to happen and you just don't know what can happen tomorrow. But to actually have someone to care about that structure, to actually help you put that structure in place is beneficial, very beneficial. And then just having someone to talk to. Like at the end of the day, my therapist is just really there, who picks up the phone and who just hears me vent, hears me talk about like my day, what's going on in my life, how this person just, I got hurt, by this, what this person said about me on social media, or, we live through that and you can't always react publicly, but you got a therapist or you have someone in your community, in your household, in your neighborhood that you can really just talk to and that you can confide in, and that I ain't gonna get out, so
it's not going to affect your actual relationships. I like to think of them as emotional babysitters. It's an emotional vacation of sorts where like you go, you let it out, and you go back to your other world. And I think that's great. I think it's wonderful that you have this support because you cannot accomplish anything. You cannot show up. You cannot show up for your, as you refer to it, your dash era without support.
Yeah. And for those who are looking for support, I mean, that's also something that, we don't talk a lot about, like, just being, so for me, I pride myself, I try to be a good friend, so at the end of the day, yes, I have 50 things going on, but if I'm running to the plane, I'm walking to the gate, I'm gonna call my friend, hey, what's up? I just checked on you to just see how you're doing today. These things matter. And you can incorporate this in your day and think about, I'm reading this book now called The Power to Persist. And I keep it with me, like literally have it in my hand all the time, because this is what I'm reading. And it's by one of my mentors, Lamel McMorris. Um, and in the book, he talks about, just being of service, and how just being kind and being nice to someone could shape their whole day, could really uplift them in ways that you don't really realize. And then that blessing comes back to you. That good deed comes back to you. And so never negate the fact that you have the possibility and capability to do a good deed for someone else. And doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could just be, like I said, a phone call, or, just in the book, he talked about how he bought groceries for a neighbor, and it wasn't a lot of groceries, like maybe, a few groceries, but it really helped her tremendously. So we just look for ways to spread love, to be of service. We do have the time. People feel like you don't have enough time, but you have the time, and we need to just get things like that done. It really does add a big difference to, all the good things that come back to you in your life. And it helps build community, which I'm always for. And it really is just something that has been empowering for me.
And you've been doing this since you were a child.
Yes.
And growing up, you were always part of this. You knew the legacy. You knew how important. Do you see Marcus Owl, your 6.5-year-old? Does he know the volume of energy that your family's involved with?
It's interesting. So when Marcus I was born, I got a call from Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's been very involved since I was pregnant with Marcus Owl's life. How's Marcus Owl? What's Marcus Owl doing? And every time she sees me, or we are able to be in the same room together, she's always talking about Marcus Owl. And I'm like, I don't know what this kid did. I'm like, but do you know who that is? Like, he has no idea. He's like, to him, that's just, Kamala Harris. Like, he doesn't even understand. And so I'm just like, this is wild to be able to, have the capacity and capability to introduce my son to greatness like that. Yes, he comes from greatness. And yes, I'm trying to do the best I can as a mom. And I hope that he looks at me one day as he looks at Kamala Harris, but that's another story. But I'm just saying, like, to be able to have, these experiences to share with my child, it really does make a lot of the work worth it. It makes a lot of the sacrifice worth it. Growing up, my dad was always busy. He was a great dad. He is a great dad. But I had to really deal with the struggles of, okay, I got to share my dad with the world. I got to share my dad with, at any given moment, not only could he get a phone call and be gone to help somebody else's family, you know what I mean? But he could actually lose his life to this. And so that was a hard realization having to grow up with. And, now it's like, now I have my own child, and I'm like, really, am I going to step out on this protest and get arrested and not be home for dinner, for my child because I believe in the cause? It's like, well, yeah, because that's what we're instilled in. And we know that, that life for us has a bigger meaning, and we're doing things to not only impact ourselves, but we're doing things for the greater good of humanity. And I want him to grow up with that installation in him. I want him to grow up understanding that, who he is, where he comes from, and understand that he's got a long way to go, but he can get to wherever he wants to go because he's got a strong foundation.
I love that. And you touch on something so important, which is the terror and the fear, right? Like growing up, you were afraid daddy might not come home, or there's going to be cacophony because of the good work that's being done, the difficult work. And when we're looking at what activism looks like for moms, for people listening to and watching you on this podcast who are running businesses and households, and a lot is dependent upon them. What is your advice for them to be more civically engaged? What does activism look like for that person who has to be careful and who has limited time?
Well, I will say first thing, we got to make sure that we're involved in the process, and being involved in the political process means understanding the gains and the liberties that have been afforded to us through blood, sweat, and tears. Let's just keep it 100, right? And so voting is important to me. I feel like, if you can take that hour out of your day, go to the voting booth and cast your vote, you're doing a tremendous service, not only to yourself and your family, but to the future and your children's future. So I believe that being involved in the political process by voting is something that.
So the baseline, that's the bare minimum. Like that's free.
You can take that. You go to Dunkin' Donuts to get your coffee or Starbucks, wherever. You can go to the voting booth and cast your vote. So that's one necessity I feel like that is pretty easy that everyone can do, right? To be civically involved and engaged in the process. We're also always involved in technology now. Like we've got, smartphones and laptops and tablets and social media. Imagine Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement, how they started in the 60s, what they were doing in the 60s. They didn't even have a fax machine. They didn't have no cell phone. You know what I mean? They didn't have the liberty of technology that we do today. And so we have to reach each other through that process. And we've got to understand that we can build on activism and doing things and being a part of the political process and the process in general, if we believe in ourselves and our children. So if you understand that, for instance, you believe in the education of your children, you believe that they should be afforded a quality education, right?
Of course.
Okay, of course. You got to go to your school board meeting. You've got to be involved in understanding, right? And that's only another hour in your day. That's another hour out your day, right? You can take the child with you, but you have to show up to these things because it means that you care. And not only that, but you are involved in the process of what is happening to the future of your children in the now. And so, yes, going to your school board meeting, voting, doing the things like that, you can stay involved in the process without leading a march, without organizing a rally.
Well,
right?
But that is a version of organizing a rally, because what you're saying is very important. It's what you do really well. You are literally physically present.
That's right.
Like being physically present in a digital world, showing up at the meeting. There might not be anybody else there nowadays.
That's right.
You're there.
That's right.
And your visibility is 10 times as effective in that circumstance than yet another tweet.
I just want us to believe in the power of our voice. And you may not have to categorize yourself or define yourself as an activist, but we all have activism in it. We all have the capacity to be activists. Community is the baseline of it as well. So just like we need, and we depend on, we call it the village that raises our children. We've got to commit to the village, and we've got to give back to the village by being present. And we do it.
And we gotta, we're the aunties now, which is wild.
Somebody called me that the other day, and I was like,
it's real though. We just have to accept this. We are the ones that we have to throw the cookout.
We do, and we can. It's possible. So yes, we're all busy. We're all stretched. We're all tired. Okay. Yes, I am one as well. I am tired as well. But I do believe that, just by having the capability to say, thank you, Lord, I made it to another day. We have another opportunity, right, to do something. And so I'm always about that, doing something, making sure that I'm working that dash, and making sure that my son understands the importance of mommy working her dash, because he does.
I love it. He understands, and deepening the meaning of it and the value of it. And, I ask all of my guests this. It's what I love to ask. It's called Mompreneurs Manifestation. And you've done so much already. But I always like to ask, what is there something in your universe that you're really trying to make happen, that you really want to happen, that you're really hoping happens, and how we can support you in this endeavor?
So I really want to make sure that we are bringing our stories to the light. And so if there's something, again, like I'm writing all the time, I'm listening to a lot of having a lot of conversations, listening to a lot of voices, talking about, we are the now. And when they write history, again, remember, like when they write history, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years from now, they're going to be talking about what we did. They're going to be talking about what we did in this moment, in this era of, post-COVID. We're dealing with it, whatever your political views are. We're in a critical time in America right now, okay? And they're going to be talking about it. The question is, what are you doing in this moment? What are you doing during this time? If it's getting yourself together, if it's really self-checking and making sure that you are loving yourself fully, so that you're showing up for the world, you're showing showing up for community, you're showing up for your children, that's important. If it's showing up for your children, I understand. I've been there before. I have, sacrificed the getting my hair done and nails done, and even sometimes showering. I mean, let's just keep it 100, right? To make sure that my child had everything he needed for the day. And so, yes, that is also important. But it's also important, to show up and to stay involved and to read and to do all the things that you need to do in order to keep yourself ready, right, for any moment. And so I believe that as moms, we're always ready for any moment. We keep continuing to equip ourselves. I feel like we're the strongest beings on the planet, right? And humanity starts with us, right? And so at the end of the day, we are the ones to make this world continue to move forward. And so we have the brunt of the world on us, but we also have the grace of the world on us, because we get to set that tone for everyone around us, right? And for the world to marvel at what we can do. And so I'm always looking for moms. I'm like, mom, because I know that if you're a mom, you have some strength, you got a story, there's a lot involved, right? And just defining that word, being a mother. And so I feel like, we've got to continue to connect with mothers. And I talk, mothers who've lost their children, unfortunately, these things are going to continue to elevate us and bring us together, to really be supportive for one another. But it is important to stay connected. And so I'm all about that.
Well, speaking of staying connected, tell everyone where they can find you in all of your incredible endeavors.
Oh, Lord. I'm on Instagram and the X thing and the Facebook. But Mrs. Sharpton Bright is my handle. You can also go to our website, nationalactionnetwork.net, find out all the activism work and things that I'm doing. One Woman Productions is my production company. So we've got a lot of things that are coming up, going on. And I'm just excited to just be present and to do my part and work my dash. So thank you.
Well, I'm excited for you. This is wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And thanks to all of you for listening to and watching Mompreneurs. As a reminder, a brand new episode goes live each Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit urban1podcast.com to learn more. That's urban, the number one, podcasts.com.